Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about a demo at the end. Dan's going to show you the wonders of our system and how it works. And before we get into that, I'm just going to talk about legal disclaimers and specifically legal disclaimers as they relate to our competitors and why we are different. So that's me. I don't have my webcam on, but pretend I'm wearing a suit because I absolutely am not. Anyways, disclaimers. We're going to just jump right into it. What is a disclaimer? So if you look at dictionaries and definitions of stuff like that, they give you a whole bunch of stuff about what a disclaimer is. But what I wanted to focus on is what a disclaimer is from the legal standpoint. A lot of you have probably seen contracts. You probably signed contracts, even if you don't know it, with disclaimers in it. You're probably going to look at your, if you ever were to look at your cell phone contract, it's going to be a disclaimer in there that no lost profits and stuff like that. And what attorneys do, attorneys like me, when we draft contracts, we put in disclaimers to limit the liability of whoever we're representing in that transaction. And it gives some good certainty to one party that, you know, this is as much as we can be sued for, or these are the only things we can be sued for. So in the contract terms, a statement, a disclaimer here is a statement that denies responsibility in order to prevent some civil liability down the road. And by civil liability, I mean being sued by their customer or client. So think of it this way, a disclaimer is basically the opposite of a guarantee. And it's pretty clear that if someone's going to put a disclaimer in their agreement or contract, it's something that they do not want to stand behind what they're offering. So if you're going to offer up, you know, if I was going to go out and, you know, start a medical practice and I just put a disclaimer out there that, you know, Andrew Nielsen is not a doctor and, you know, anything he does to you is at your own risk. You know, a lot of you are not going to be excited by that, nor do I blame you. I did not go to medical school. I do not know what I'm doing. But in the relative term of contracts, we're going to look real quick here at what our competitors throw in. It's one of them, just one example in their disclaimer of their services. I'm not going to read this whole thing through, but we're going to pay attention to the highlighted portions here. And if in that first paragraph, if you put those highlighted portions together, you get a sentence that says, nothing should be relied upon or construed as legal, tax, or similar professional advice. So, I mean, what are you getting? What does that even mean? It means that the information that you are getting is not guaranteed to be correct, and they will not stand behind their advice. And furthermore, if you were to somehow get sued based upon actions you took after getting their advice, they don't care. You are left holding the bag at that point. So if whoever you called and consulted with gave you incorrect advice and caused, you know, a discrimination suit or something like that that cost you $100,000 to defend, too bad, so sad is going to be the answer when you ask them for some money. They say you sign a contract, that contract had a disclaimer, we don't have to do bupkis. Now we're going to look at that second paragraph just a little bit. Here it says, you know, it's for general informational purposes only, not a substitute for consultation with an attorney. You are encouraged to consult with an attorney, and it's not subject to attorney-client privilege. So we're going to talk about this second chunk here a little bit. So it's intended for general informational purposes only. I know because I do ticket shifts here. When those tickets come in to us from people in HR with questions, they're usually, you know, not general questions. They have a specific employee that's either being a problem or they need help with something specific in terms of a specific policy or a specific legal issue that they are facing. And so the second paragraph here in this disclaimer, it basically says we're acting as a reference librarian. I don't know if you guys are old enough like me to remember sometimes going to the reference desk at the library or calling the reference desk at the library, you know, before the days of the interwebs, to find out an answer for something. So they're basically saying what our people are telling you is basically as good as a Google search. So good luck. It is not a substitute for consultation with an attorney. So they're basically saying, even though you talk with us, it's not legal advice. And even if we potentially solve your problem, it's not guaranteed. Next, they say you actually are encouraged to consult an attorney. So basically, they're saying, again, we can't guarantee this advice. If you want a guarantee, go to an attorney. And the last bit here is going to be the fact that is not subject to attorney-client privilege. Now, attorney-client privilege is super important. They bang you over the head with it in law school about how important it is. It's in every state's ethics rules, and it is one of the big bugaboos in terms of the legal rules that can get you disbarred and no longer able to practice. So what we are talking about here with this attorney-client privilege means that if you are sued based upon an issue that you talk to us about, nobody can find out what you talk to us about. On the other hand, if you use another advice service that's not an attorney and not legally backed, what happens is if you are sued, let's say I have an attorney who's suing for discrimination, and in the lawsuit I ask what outside services have you used to discuss this issue with, and you say, well, we use this HR advice service, and I'm going to issue a subpoena and do a deposition of that third party to figure out what you talked about and why. If you made any admissions that, yes, we know we forgot to pay this guy overtime, but we're just going to try to get away with it, I'm going to find that out. I'm going to have that admission, and that is going to sink your case. There's going to be so much in there that's going to be detrimental to anyone that uses these services in the case of a lawsuit. Now, let's flip that on its head a little bit. If you were to get advice from us and it devolved into a lawsuit, and that third party says, who did you get advice from? And you say, well, we got it from myHRcounsel. They come to us and say, we want all your records and documents, and I get to tell them, go pound sand. Not happening. Attorney-client privilege, you don't have a right to it. It only exists between me and my client, and good luck getting a court order stating that you can get that information, because they will not be able to. Courts do not violate attorney-client privilege lightly. They do not pierce that relationship. It's one of the basic tenets of the American judicial system, and so courts will not do that unless you know, you are admitting that you're going to commit a crime or something like that, or plotting to do a crime, which is one of the very few exceptions to attorney-client privilege. And to date, I've been practicing law, what is this, 2024? I'm coming up, this is going to be my 19th year, so 18 and a half years practicing law at this point. Not one time has anyone consulted with me in trying to plot or commit or further a crime. And I used to do criminal defense work back in a former life. So not likely to happen is the bottom line there. What you say with us is going to stay locked, guaranteed away in a vault, and nobody's going to be able to get at that information. So I kind of hammered this already, but I'm just going to repeat it, why we are different from the minerals and whatnot of the world. Think HR Answer Link, whatever, what have you. We have no disclaimer on our advice. We don't say, hey, here's our legal advice, but you can't rely on it. It's really just general information. So good luck. We don't do that. Furthermore, we are backed by insurance. So if something that we do causes you damages, you know, there's an insurance company standing behind us that would pay out if we made a mistake that caused you damages. We don't hide behind a disclaimer. You know, we stand behind our advice, and our advice and our conversations and all the documents going back and forth between each other, those are all confidential, and those are all going to stay private and undiscoverable in the case of a lawsuit or something similar. So with that, I'm going to shoot it over to Dan. Dan is going to do a nice demo for us. Dan, I'm going to change presenter to you right now. Boom.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. That was some great information. So now I'm going to walk you through our confidential and encrypted Ask an Attorney portal. In the effort to save some time, I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. But if you have any questions or would like to schedule a follow-up call or an additional demo, please reach out to us at info@myHRcounsel.com, and we'd be happy to get that accommodated for you. As Andy mentioned, one of the main benefits of our portal is that it's protected by attorney-client privilege, and any of the discussions amongst our attorneys are protected and are not allowed to be subpoenaed in the event of a lawsuit. So what we have here for our portal is you'll get a unique password with your email address. Each organization typically gets about 2 to 4 unique logins that are going to be for management level employees. There's no additional cost if you wanted to add another user or two. We simply just limit it to more of the management level. So once you're ready to log in, just click this login button, and it will take you directly to our dashboard. So starting at the top right here, we have our weekly newsletter, which includes attorney written blogs, a tip of the week, and labor law updates from around the country. Additionally, we have some FAQs on how to use the portal or any questions about your account. We've got a great HR audit tool. It's included for all of our clients. It's about a 10 to 15 minute survey, and based on the result of this, it will grade your level of compliance in a stoplight form. So green means good, red means bad, and everything covered on the HR audit tool will be included in our Ask HR service. Additionally, we have a partner of ours called Yardstick who provide reduced fee background checks for our clients. One of the benefits of us is that we have weekly webinars, as you know, that since you're attending today. If you wanted to register for additional webinars, you just simply click this red webinars button. If you wanted harassment training, we have a partner of ours that would have state-specific harassment training for you. And one of the great features of our Ask HR and Ask Pro services is that we do draft you a legally completed employee handbook. To start the process, simply click this button. Then you click this employee handbook survey, and it will gather the necessary information for your business, how many states you operate in, how many employees, do you have remote workers, all that great information. And with the results of that, our attorneys will draft you a handbook within 7 to 10 business days. Moving on to our community tab, we have a library of past webinars, we have HR tips and tools, any news updates, as well as blogs. And in the bottom corner, depending on which states you operate in, they would be featured here directly on the dashboard. We have Colorado, but you also have access to all 50 states. And each quarter we go through and update with any new law changes. So if you click on Colorado, we have the title of the law and just a brief overview of what is included in that law. And if you want to access other states, simply hit this state update list. You can filter through here for California, for example, and more information. So now I bet you're wondering how to access our attorneys. It's very easy for you. You have 2 options. The first is to simply hit this blue create ticket button. You'll be asked to complete this brief form with a subject line, subject matter, and if it pertained to a specific employee, we would ask that you click yes. And the reason for that is that we're a national law firm and that we're required to run a conflicts check. If you wanted to include another member of your team as a CC, they would also have access to this ticket. Otherwise, it would remain confidential between yourself and the attorney. Just simply click the button here. And if you wanted no CCs, you're good to go. So you would enter in the question that you have. And if you wanted to include any attachments or any documents, hit this Choose Files tab, and it would allow you to include any of those documents. And then if you're ready, just hit this Submit button. Once completed, you'll receive an email notification with a ticket number, as well as notification emails every time that the ticket has been updated. When you get the emails, it'll prompt you to log back in, and it'll take you to the direct ticket. To access that ticket, simply hit this Ask an Attorney button on the side, and you'll have a library of your open tickets. Each of them have a unique ticket ID, subject matter, as well as who which attorney the ticket is assigned to. To access the tickets that you've opened previously that have been finished, you can reference them by clicking this Close Tickets tab here. I'll show you what one of them looks like. For example, 267114. So it simply looks like an email or a text feature. Additionally, we have a mobile app that is available for Android and Apple devices that you can download that has the ticketing system built within it. So if you didn't want to log into the portal on a desktop, or if you're on the go at a kid's soccer game, in a meeting, simply open up that app and you can access our attorneys on the go. And during our business hours, we guarantee an initial response time of 2 hours or less, and we actually average about 15 minutes for that initial response. If you're a client of our Ask HR or Ask Pro service, you'll have access to our HR Solutions Center. This includes a library of resources, checklists, sample policies, and more, covering the employee life cycle from hiring to firing. So we have some information about applications, interview process, background checks, FAQs, and then resources and forms that are drafted by our attorneys. You simply just click on this, say if you want this employment agreement, and it would download right to your screen here. So you would be able to have this Word document for you to customize, or if you wanted our attorneys to draft it for you, we would be happy to do that with our Ask HR and Ask Pro services. For clients who require support that goes beyond the employment side to more of a business and corporate, we have our Ask Pro service. And with that, you would also have access to our Business Center. So we cover everywhere from collections, constructions, contracts, and corporate formation. So it's going to look similar to our HR Solutions Center. So we have the top 4 subjects, resources and forms for you to download, different contracts and agreements, and all of these would be able to be downloaded for you. Additionally, we have several a la carte options, including myHRcounsel Wrap and myHRcounsel Bundle. So if you need any ERISA support, you would toggle to the ERISA Center on the bottom left of your tab. Additionally, we have a compliance calendar, which includes a calendar of all the necessary dates and reminders of the filings throughout the specific year. And that's our Ask an Attorney portal. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at info@myHRcounsel.com. If you're a current client of ours and would like to have more information about how the portal works, if you'd like to schedule an additional demo with us, we'd be happy to get that taken care of for you. We thank you for taking time out of the day to attend our webinar, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.